All right, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for the introduction, Jen. As Jen mentioned, I'll be talking about automating frequency analysis for user interviews. So this could be about me because Jen already talked about that. But what do I mean by frequency analysis? All I mean is we want to count the percentage of something happening in our customer feedback, particularly textual customer feedback in this case, like user interviews. So we want to know, for example, what percentage of the users or interviewees have had this particular pain point. And the motivation for using Sheets and the GPT for Sheets plugin is that in order to unlock many of the most powerful LLM use cases, as some of you probably know, it requires a lot of LLM calls. Many almost identical, where they're almost the same prompt and same template, except you're just filling in certain information, like you'll have this, a different interview transcript or something. And this requires writing code, or does it? That's really the key insight here, is that by using GPT for Sheets, anyone can build fully customizable, high-grade LLM pipelines with no code and in just a few minutes. So what is GPT for Sheets and Slides and Docs? It's just a third-party plugin where it has, you install it for GPT for Sheets, and it has two functions right here. One is GPT and the other is GPT Web. GPT is just like ChatGPT. You give it an LLM prompt and it responds with an answer. GPT Web is kind of like Perplexity. For those of you who's Perplexity, it's just an LLM connected to the internet, so it can look things up. So get into a demo, and we'll start with kind of a simple example. And bear with me because I know this isn't a product use case here, but it's illustrative of what this tool can do. So I wanted to know, because I'm a founder, I wanted to know what percentage of the unicorns of the billion-dollar companies created last year were B2B and what percentage were B2C.
And you zoom in on that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yep, 100%. Is that good?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, great. So this column here is just, let me know if I need to zoom in anymore. But this column here is just like companies, the unicorns created last year. And then I wanted to know which ones were B2B and which ones were B2C. So I just give this prompt right here, and can people see that prompt right there? Okay, so I'm asking GPT Web, here's the company name. I just kind of insert the company name, as a cell reference, like any other spreadsheet function. And I say, is this company, which is a unicorn company, primarily B2B or B2C? And then it'll give me that answer. And I also just tell it I want the advanced LLM. And so it gives me that answer. And here's where it gets powerful, is that just like any other spreadsheet function, I can fill it down and it'll just execute the same thing for every row that I have. So, it'll take just a couple seconds, to execute. But you'll see in just a couple seconds, there are 60 companies here, and it did it for every single one of those without writing any code and in under 2 minutes. And so I can just do an count if, what's the range? It's this range, and I say, all right, for B2C, how many are B2C? All right, so now I have 11 out of the 60 are B2C, 11 out of the 60 are B2C, the rest are B2B. So I already have my answer. Something that would have taken me an hour before LLMs, I just got to in under 5 minutes. But you might, so switching over to more the product side, how do we use this for frequency analysis? So here is how I've set it up. We have interview transcripts here in column B, and so each one has a full interview transcript. There are 35 of them. The first thing I'm going to ask is, here's an interview transcript. So I insert the interview transcript dynamically. Please extract the significant pain points, be specific, give a bulleted list. And so it'll do that for every single interview transcript, as you can see here. So that's going to be in column C. And then the second thing I want to do is, okay, now that I have the pain points for each transcript, I want to know what are the top 10 most common. So I'll use a slightly different function. It's called GPT list. It's the same thing as GPT, except I'm just going to output into different cells, at the same time. So it outputs into 10 different cells instead of one. It's the only difference. So now I have my 10 like biggest pain points. And I'll copy those 10 and I'll make a table out of them. I'll paste them, I'll transpose them here so that they're now on like each of these 10, they're right here across this top portion. So what I have now is a table that lets me say, does this particular interview over here in this row have this particular pain point? True or false? And I ask it to just answer true or false. I fill that down for every interview, and I fill that to the side for every pain point. And then I can go through, and so that's a similar prompt to what the last one was. But I go down, and I can do a count if on the same things. And so now I have the percentages of every pain point in every interview. So I have, I know that this is the most common pain point, this is the second most common pain point, and this is the third most common pain point. But it doesn't have to be like, does this interview have this pain point? It can also be severity. It can be a lot of different things. Say you don't trust that the LLM's doing the right thing. Say you think it's hallucinating. You can also go over and say, all right, if this user has this pain point over here, then I want you to give me quotes supporting that. Like give me exact verbatim quotes from the transcript supporting that they actually have this pain point. And so I can do that for every combination of pain point and in interview as well. So I know we kind of blasted through that, but just like to sum up, and I'll take questions in a second, but the value that I want to emphasize here is that it is mostly time to value. Like if you have your transcripts handy or you have whatever data you want to do frequency analysis on handy, you can check like the frequency and get statistics of something in just 2 to 5 minutes. So say you're running late to a meeting, like you are trying to get a stakeholder aligned with a particular initiative because you feel confident about it, you can get data on that and like a convincing percentage to back up your argument in just a few minutes. Second, customizability. You have full control of the prompts. You decide what happens, unlike most of the products on the market. And then accuracy. By breaking down the LLM calls into like very simple operations, things like, does this interview have this pain point? It really makes the LLM extremely accurate, as opposed to if you give like multiple at the same time. And so you can really take these stats to the bank. Like, and even if you try to do the whole exercise yourself, you're probably gonna get very similar results. So, I hope you all find this useful. I think there are other, like Google may be integrating this kind of capability natively into its sheets, and I think that we'll see more and more of that as the years go on. But I think eventually this could become a useful tool for a lot of different knowledge workers, not just product managers. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So there's, what I like about this is there's, by going granular, there's a transparency of the step, and you're requiring a few more, like I'm thinking about sentient analysis, where you sentiment analysis, where you say, what are the general trends, and it'll give you the general trends. This is more granular than that. And that way it's more transparent than that. But it's also more calls, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, if you just thought, or someone said to you, how is this different from sentiment analysis? I've sort of answered it, but not really.
Yeah, I'd say one is just more customizable and specific to like what you want. So like, because sentiment analysis is very useful, but is it the same thing as a pain point? Maybe not necessarily, because you could be talking about different topics and things like that.
Yeah.
So that'd be one answer, I suppose. I hope that helps. Yeah, that's all I have here.
Yeah, have you tried this beyond just transcripts, where like you have videos of usability testing, or even audio recordings where you can ask about the tone?
Yeah, good question. So we have written some like custom code for similar things. Right now, that's not supported by Sheets. Unfortunately, it would require some kind of custom code or other product. One more over here.
Yeah, so in that connection, this is just the specifics. Is it connected using a paid for account? Is it using API account? Are you being charged per call? What's the actual cost structure for doing the example that you provided?
Yeah, this particular product offers like a $60 a month premium subscription. They also offer usage-based pricing beyond that if you have higher scale needs than that. So that's how it's offered right now. Of course, LLM products pricing models are changing very quickly.
Great, and I also, just as a quick, I also have a note. Basically, you're at this for $60. You're doing qualitative analysis at the speed of quantitative analysis because of that, because of the difference there, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's one way of
So
saying it.
it's just a good way to think about
Yeah,
it.
I like that idea a bit.
How do you think about some of the risks of almost, I guess this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is like where should you draw the line of how much you let AI do on your customer interviews? And how are you thinking about like this, tools like this, how are you thinking about that line?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that for me, the AI isn't there yet where it's going to be able to, what we want is the AI to be able to augment our decisions, and one really powerful way of doing that is having statistics. I think that, universally, that's a very convincing factor for many people, and it also helps us change our own minds. And so I think that getting statistics is helpful, but we don't want to let it go beyond that and like make decisions for us. And I think that as long as we're using it properly, it falls firmly within that realm, if that makes sense.